I watched her plunge a kitchen knife into my fence post, shrieking that I'd breached the Geneva Convention of Property Lines, and that's when I realized Linda Voss had completely lost it. It had all started like any other laid-back Saturday: clear blue skies, birds chirping, and the smoky aroma of burgers wafting from my dad's grill in the backyard. I was midway through staining the new cedar fence we'd put up last month, feeling pretty good about how crisp and neat it looked against the grassy slope separating our place from the neighbors. That slope, by the way, had always been verified by a survey, county records, and plain old common sense. But common sense wasn't exactly Linda's forte. Linda Voss was the type of neighbor who'd print her own parking tickets and slap them on people's windshields. She'd strut around in reflective sunglasses, walking her 2 yapping dogs, and flag down delivery drivers to lecture them about their parking angles. As far as anyone knew, she didn't have a job, but she always carried a clipboard and an air of superiority that implied she thought she was the unofficial enforcer of neighborhood justice. This time she was convoy and said my fence crossed exactly 6.5 inches onto her side of the line. She stormed over with a tape measure, escalated to yelling, then whipped out what I'm pretty sure was a self-made, laminated, citizen complaint form. I offered her a burger, hoping to lighten the mood, but she jabbed her steak knife. She brought Oni at me and declared, "You'll hear from the authorities." Most folks would have taken that as an empty threat. Not Linda. 20 minutes later, as Dad and I savored cold beers and basted a second round of ribs, we heard tires crunching on gravel. A sheriff's cruiser pulled into the driveway. The deputy stepped out, looking like he was already over whatever mess he'd been dragged into. His sunglasses stayed on, but the way he rubbed his neck said it all. Linda trailed him like a triumphant lawyer heading to trial, clutching a binder and muttering about illegal structures. The deputy gave a polite nod. "Afternoon, folks. Got a call about a property dispute." Linda didn't let me get a word in. "Yes, officer, thank you. He's built a fence on my land and threatened me." Dad nearly choked on his beer. I glanced at him and said coolly, "No one threatened anyone. We just built a fence fully on our side." Linda scoffed. "I measured it 6 inches past the legal line. I have proof." The deputy sighed. "Do you have a recent survey, sir?" I nodded, grabbed the property survey from the garage complete with the county seal and signatures from last year and handed it over. He studied it, then looked at Linda. She crossed her arms. "That survey's fake. Probably paid off." "Ma'am," the deputy said evenly, "it's an official document filed with the county. Unless you've got evidence of fraud, I can't disregard it." "Oh, I do," she snapped. "He's using illegal tools." I blinked. "Illegal tools?" "Yes. That power drill, it made aggressive noises." I felt unsafe. Even the deputy paused to process that one. "Ma'am," he said flatly, "noise from power tools during allowed hours isn't illegal." That's when Linda marched across the yard to point something out, stepping right over the boundary onto my side without a second thought. She kept ranting, oblivious to the deputy watching her every move. "You realize you just walked onto his property without permission?" he asked. Linda froze. "Excuse me. This land," he said, gesturing to the fenced yard per the survey, "is his. You just trespassed." Her mouth flapped open, shut, then open again. "You're joking." "I came to report a crime." The deputy radioed for parcel line records, shaking his head like he'd seen this play out too many times. My sister stepped onto the porch, phone in hand. "Hey Matt, you need to see this." She'd found Linda's Facebook group, not a real HOA, not even a neighborhood page, but the Voss Avenue Purity and Order Committee, with 18 members, mostly her book club pals. The top post was gold. "Fence guy thinks he's slick. Wait till Saturday, I'll get the sheriff out here," and boom, his fence is toast. Watch me work. She'd even slapped a Google Maps screenshot with her own red lines drawn over it, labeled corrected survey. I showed it to the deputy. He muttered something that sounded like, "Lord help me." Linda screeched. "This is harassment. He's spying on my private page." "It's public," my sister said, sipping lemonade like she was watching a soap opera. "You tagged the street name and left it open." The deputy stepped aside to call his super VY sort. His was spiraling fast. Then the radio crackled with county confirmation. The fence was 3 inches inside my rightful line. No violation. No encroachment. Case closed. Linda's eyes bugged out like she'd been slapped by a ghost. She sputtered about fake records and corruption, then backed toward her house. "Ma'am," the deputy called, "stick around." We might need to discuss that trespassing issue. She stopped mid-step, stiff as a board. The next morning was eerily quiet. No barking dogs, no slamming doors, no dramatic yoga poses in the driveway. If you were new, you'd think Linda was a saint. But I knew better. The calm was just the storm winding up. By noon, my sister burst in, grinning like she'd struck gold. "You've got to see this." Linda had posted again. "Sheriff Daniels is buddies with Fence Guy's dad. This was never about property, it's a cover-up. I'll win. You'll see." She'd even emailed the county clerk to challenge my surveyor's license, claiming structural dishonesty. I headed to the records office, pulling the full plat lines for both properties. The clerk barely blinked when I laughed at the result. Not only was my fence fine, but Linda's shed, her precious yellow shed, was 2 feet onto my land. "Happens more than you'd think," the clerk said as I rolled up the proof. I ran into Mr. Carter, a neighbor, on my way out. "Let me guess," he said, "Linda trouble?" "You too." 5 years back, she said my hedges were violently overgrown and a traffic hazard. Caught her moving my mailbox with a shovel. This wasn't about fence, it was about control. Linda was the self-crowned queen of a realm nobody wanted. That afternoon, Sheriff Daniels himself showed up, chewing gum and radiating rural noir vy bess. "Mind if I come in?" Over lemonade, he laid it out. Linda had filed 3 complaints against me, him, and the county, alleging a land theft conspiracy. "But," he said, "satellite photos show her sheds on your land. She's the violator. A county surveyor would confirm it tomorrow. If she resisted, she'd get a citation." The next day, the surveyor arrived, older guy, white hat, metal detector in hand. He marked the line, tapped a rusted pin with his boot. "This one's from '86. Fence is spot on. Shed's not." Linda stormed out mid-survey, robe flapping. "This is harassment. I didn't approve this." "Ma'am," the sheriff said, "you don't approve county surveys. It's public record." She claimed the pins were set by property criminals and shifted by plate tectonics. The surveyor snorted. She then tried measuring around him, muttering equations until the sheriff warned her about obstructing an official. She backed off, hands up like we were the nuts ones. By the end, her shed, rock garden, and solar gnome lamp were all over the Linneon record. Linda didn't quit. She set up a lawn booth with a sign, "Defend property rights, ask me how they're stealing our land." No one asked. She blasted the 1812 overture at dawn, cannons and all. Then she crossed into my yard again, accusing me of moving stakes. "I saw him digging," she shrieked to a passing deputy. "He's stealing more land." "They're still marked," I said. She tripped into my garden, popped up covered in dirt, and yelled, "He planted traps." The deputy had enough. "Ma'am, this is your 3rd trespass. Keep it up, and it's charges." She stormed off, live streaming about corrupt neighbors and deep state land theft. Then I checked my trail cam setup for wildlife, not drama. A week before her first complaint, there was Linda in a black hoodie, digging up the survey pin and moving at 6 inches. I sent the footage to the sheriff. Next morning, he rolled up in his truck. "This," he said, showing me the clip, "is tampering with markers. A real charge. She'd have to remove her stuff or face penalties." When he served her the notice, she took it like it was toxic, speechless for once. That night, neighbors dropped by, cookies, jokes, relief. Linda had built her crusade on a lie, and it was crumbling. She didn't go quietly. She ignored the 15-day removal notice, hung a "Stop Illegal Land Grabs" banner, and sat Gill with her dogs. The court date arrived fast, and half the block showed up to watch. Linda wore a Defend the Line shirt, armed with folders and a truth journal. The vy didn't surveys maps vy read her. The judge asked if she denied the footage. "It's grainy. Could be anyone." "It's you," the judge said. "Your hoodie's tagged, and your dogs are barking." Ordered to remove her stuff in 10 days, plus trespassing fines and my legal fees, she deflated. A bonus, her fake HOA scam collecting dues with forged letters sparked another probe. 2 days later, a moving truck arrived. Popcorn came out. No one waved. Linda glared at the fence one last time, then drove off. The street exhaled. That weekend, I threw a barbecue, burgers, music, Sheriff Daniels with a 6-pack. We toasted peace. I added a plaque by the fence. Property of the unbothered trespassers, meet the sheriff. The line held, and the neighborhood healed, all because one woman thought she could rewrite reality with a tape measure and a delusion. She underestimated the truth, the community, and a damn good fence.